A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News live on Newsfirst on this Wednesday evening. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Shaheen Girampati. Let's start off to look at tonight's headlines.
Bus fares to increase from midnight tomorrow. Contradicting views expressed on the proposal to develop the Palale airport by India. DIG Lanka de Silva sent on compulsory leave. Mahasangha of the Malwatu and Askari chapters send an epistle to President requesting to safeguard Buddhism.
Now for those stories in detail. A decision has been reached to increase bus fares by 4% from midnight tomorrow.
A discussion on the increase of bus fares in line with the fuel price hike was held at the Ministry of Transport today. The meeting was attended by Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation, Nimal Siripala de Silva, and representatives of bus associations.
Bus fares will increase by 4% from midnight tomorrow. We don't have to keep on holding discussions with these trade unions on drafting a price formula for the variation of bus prices with fuel prices. We need to prepare a formula for this. The fuel pricing formula is a curse to the country. This is a victory to all private bus owners. If the price of diesel is increased on the 10th of next month, the bus fares will also increase accordingly. Owners of private buses begged before the minister for a rupee today.
The National Transport Commission said the price revision does not affect the prices of tickets of luxury buses and buses that operate along expressways. Import tax on a kilogram of sugar was increased by 18 rupees from midnight yesterday. The Ministry of Finance said this will not affect the market price of sugar.
Any tax that the government imposes on us will fall over the people. We sold sugar at 105 rupees in the wholesale market today. When this goes to the village, it will increase by at least 15 rupees. The market price will be about 130 rupees.
Meanwhile, the Cost of Living Committee has decided to increase the price of a gas cylinder by 195 rupees. A pricing formula has been introduced for fuel prices to be revised monthly, and prices were increased in the past 2 months. The government has decided to present the budget proposal for the financial year 2019 to Parliament on the 5th of November. Previously, it was stated that the budget will be presented on the 8th of November. However, during the time the budget is being presented, many important factors that affect the people, including fuel prices, various import taxes, income taxes and bus fares, are being amended and implemented. After the budget proposal was presented last year, 19 supplementary estimates were presented for the allocation of additional funds. The presentation of a supplementary estimate during the debate on the budget last year was a special occurrence. During the period that Ravi Karunanayake held the portfolio of Minister of Finance since 2015, 70 supplementary estimates were presented to Parliament.
19 supplementary estimates were presented. Out of the 19, about 15 were for the purchase of vehicles for ministers and monitoring MPs. It was also for changes in office staff. The bond scam has resulted in a situation where additional interest has to be paid. The country's budget is being presented to be implemented from the 1st of January. The budget that is currently being implemented and was passed on the 8th of November last year showed certain figures including the country's income, the expenditure and the deficit. While the budget is passed and the method of taxation and the expenses are shown, fuel prices are being increased monthly. Is it easy when the prices of sugar and dal is increased by 30 rupees? The government does not have to increase and decrease prices according to the situation. That is something that happens with the dollar. It is not just in Sri Lanka. The Indian rupee fell by 11% and ours only fell by 6%. The Pakistan rupee has fallen by 5.03%. In January 2014, what was the price of gas? It was 2,396 rupees. When considering the price reduction in December 2014, just before the election, the current price is still lesser by 163 rupees. In 2011, the price of milk powder was 220 rupees and by 2014, it was 325 rupees. It has been maintained at 325 rupees until today. When did the people ever say they are living happily? There is a global economic crisis today. The price of the dollar skyrocketed suddenly. Many investors from all around the world moved their surplus cash to the US. Therefore, all the money in the reserves in all the banks will reduce. It is not just limited to Sri Lanka. When our currency reduces, our goods increase in price, our fuel prices increase. America does not have that issue, but every other country does. Also, many countries have increased their taxes. That too is a huge blow to international business. Every country is affected by this, mostly poor nations.
In the first quarter of 2015, earnings from exports were recorded at US dollars 5.4 billion. In 2018, earnings from exports have reduced to US dollars 3 billion. During the first quarter of 2015, the foreign direct investment inflows were 544 million US dollars, and during the first quarter of 2018, it has reduced to 492 million US dollars. In 2015, the GDP growth rate was at 4.4%, and in 2018, it has declined to 3.2%. Today, the selling price of a Sri Lankan rupee once again dropped to 167.41 against the US dollar.
A proposal has been submitted to Cabinet to partner with India for the development of the Palali Airport. However, Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation Nimal Siripala de Silva, speaking in Parliament yesterday, made a contradictory statement.
It didn't come in as yet. They have proposed for a joint venture with a share of 60 to 40% or 70 to 30%.
There is no idea to hand over the Palali Airport to any other country or India, even for development purposes. We presented a cabinet paper on this. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, myself and John Amaratunga presented the cabinet paper. It said the Palali Airport should be developed by the Air Force. We provided 750 million rupees required for this purpose through the Aviation Fund. Minister John Amaratunga said he will grant the other 1,000 million from the Tourist Fund. The development will take place under the Air Force. The Times of India reported that the State-owned Airports Authority of India will now develop the Palali Airport in Sri Lanka. An agreement was signed by the Land Management and Business Development of the State-owned Airports Authority and the Ministry of External Affairs.
Following allegations of a conspiracy levelled against DIG Nalaka de Silva with the discovery of a certain phone conversation, the Ministry of Law and Order has recommended for the DIG to be sent on compulsory leave. The ministry stated that the recommendation was directed to the National Police Commission. Views were expressed in this regard during the Cabinet media briefing today.
ජනාධිපතිතුමා ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ මහත්මයාත් ඝාතනය කිරීමේ වෑයමක් පිළිබඳව කතා වෙනවා. මේක අද කතා වුණාද ඇමතුමා? කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයේ එහෙම
This was not discussed at the cabinet meeting because the Criminal Investigations Department is conducting an investigation into the matter.
ඔබතුමාලට යෝජනා කරනවා ඊයේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේදීත් මේ DIG වරයාව ස්ථානමාරුවක් කිරීමක් නොවේ. ඔහුවත් අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්න නැත්නම් ඔහුගෙන් ප්‍රශ්න කිරීමක් කරන්න.
You can't make an arrest just because there is an allegation against him.
අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීමට බෑ.
දැන් ඊයේ දවසේදී වාර්තා වුණා පොලිස්පතිවරයා මේ චෝදනාවට ලක් වෙච්ච නියෝජ්‍ය පොලිස්පතිවරයාත් සමග කැලණි විහාරයේ වඳ පුදා ගන්න ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා කියලා.
He is still a DIG. There is no need to give up on the good relationship they have. At that time, even the president said that he did not know until charges were filed in court. That is how he behaves today. So, if the president is not aware, how do you expect the IGP to know what's happening?
එතන උසාවියකින් එන තීන්දුවක් මත නේද මේ රවි විජයවර්ධන මහත්මයාගෙන් ප්‍රශ්න කරන්න හරි අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්න හරි එතුමාට ඒ නියෝගය එන්නේ කොහොමද?
That comes from the investigations conducted by the CID.
ජනාධිපතිවරයා කියලා තිබුණා දැන් ওই සම්බන්ධයෙන් පරීක්ෂණවලදී අර නඩු දාන්න ඕන පුද්ගලයන්ටත් නඩු දාලා නැහැ උන් පිට ඉන්නවා කියලා. මේ සාක්ෂිකරුවන්ව මෙහෙම
Those decisions should be made by the Attorney General. Cases are only filed for cases Attorney General has approved. If a person is in possession of a locally manufactured weapon, he is directly sent to court. The person in the avant-garde case is not presented under the case filed by the Attorney General.
එයාව ඉදිරිපත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එතකොට ජනාධිපතිවරයාව එහෙම දැනුවත් කළ යුතුද? එහෙම දැනුවත් කරනවා නම් ඒක කාගේ කාර්යයද? මොකක්ද එමතුමා එතන කරන්නේ? ඔව් ආරක්ෂක ඇමතිවරයා.
He is the Minister of Defence. So, as the Minister of Defence, he is the highest ranking officer in charge of the security. There is a duty to inform him of something like that.
මක් තිබෙනවා. ඒ යුතුයකම ඉටු කරන්න ඕනේ කවුද? ඒ කියන්නේ පොලිස්පතිවරයාද? අපරාධ
It is the CID.
We're also making headlines on primetime news this evening. The Mahasangha of the Malwatu and Asgiri chapters sent an epistle to President Maithripala Sirisena requesting to safeguard Buddhism.
The chief prelates in their epistle notes that certain layman groups as well as groups of monks are committing many acts against the teachings of the Sasana in an organized and meticulous manner. The letter said those clad in robes are in the process of spreading myths by distorting the Tripitaka Dhamma. It adds that several laymen are engaged in activities which are against the Buddhist doctrine and discipline by using subtle maneuvers to distort the sacred Dhamma by giving various interpretations. Taking this situation into account, 6 decisions taken by the Mahasangha have been directed to the attention of the President.
Leader of the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna, Anurukumara Disanayaka, called on the chief prelate of the Malwatu chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Tibbatwave Sri Sumangala Thero.
JVP leader met with the chief prelate and spoke about the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. This will highly benefit former President Mahinda Rajapaksa because he will not be able to be the state leader or the governing leader of the country. This amendment creates an opportunity for him. The next opportunity will be given to President Maithripala Sirisena. His tenure will be over on the 9th of January. Our proposal is to let President Maithripala Sirisena continue as the president until a new president is appointed. This will also reduce the tenure of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe by 7 months. Leader of the JVP, Anurukumara Disanayaka, made these remarks to the media. We don't have any issues to resolve with the Prime Minister. Shuranta Rajapaksa is out on bail with the assistance of the Prime Minister. There are 2 sides in Mahinda Rajapaksa's faction. One side is being represented by Gotabaya Rajapaksa and the other side is being represented by Mahinda Rajapaksa. Gotabaya will be appointed as the leader of our country only if Mahinda Rajapaksa fails. If the 20th Amendment is approved, Mahinda Rajapaksa will have a chance. So the team assisting Gotabaya Rajapaksa is attempting to stop the 20th Amendment from being approved.
විසියන සංශෝධන සම්මත නොකරගත්තොත් ගෝඨාභයට අවස්ථාවක් ගත හැකියි කියලා.
In your developing story this evening, Human Rights Watch said the Maldives government-controlled election commission appears to have adopted new vote counting rules that threaten prospects for a free and fair election on the 23rd of September 2018.
Activists in the Maldives told Human Rights Watch that abrupt changes to the vote counting process will permit opposition and independent observers to see only bundled papers for each candidate rather than individual ballot papers, as was the case in previous elections. Speaking to Newsfirst, the Maldivian Democratic Party said the Maldives Election Commission is secretly planning to use tablet computers to collate election results from polling stations on election day, creating a new opportunity for vote rigging and fraud. According to MDP, leaked Internal Election Commission documents showed that the commission has secretly been planning to use the tablet computers for months, even though the EC had insisted publicly that the voting in this election will be counted in the same way as the previous polls. Meanwhile, foreign media also reported that Maldives President Abdullah Yameen has accepted lavish gifts from a billionaire developer who has later leased 2 islands in the Paradise Archipelago without bidding for them.
The Global Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation concluded today. Addressing the forum today, Speaker Karajai Surya made an appeal to all political leaders.
With 20 months of the Parliament, my plea to all the political leaders has been to solve all outstanding national issues during the remaining time, so that the next generation and the generation unborn will live in a peaceful, democratic and prosperous world.
We're moving on to more local news. Joint opposition parliamentarians visited Milko today to inquire into the measures taken to ascertain the reason for what took place at the joint opposition rally in Colombo when milk packets were distributed among their supporters.
Following a media briefing held in Colombo today, MPs representing the joint opposition visited the Milko factory. The chairman of Milko, quality manager and members of the financial division of the company held discussions with the parliamentarians.
We went and looked into this. This is one of our products. This has gone out and it has been damaged at two places. First, how was this bloated? When something was added to this, it has melted and then bloated. We have to conduct an inquiry to find out the substance that was injected into this. That inquiry is underway. In that process, have you lodged a complaint with the police that something has been injected to your product like this? We can't be satisfied regarding the steps that you are taking as an organization. Do you know that a coordinating secretary of a main minister in this government had called the mobile phone of the media secretary of Rajitha Senaratne between 5 and 7 and asked him how many people have been admitted to hospital due to the consumption of this milk? There is a recording of this. The opening is marked here. How was this opening made? I can tell you that when the product was put out, it did not have any of these openings. Mr. Chairman, you must lodge a complaint regarding this at the CID. This is the simplest place where we can find out about this.
Housing loans and deeds were distributed to families residing in areas under the Ratmalana Divisional Secretariat. The event was held under the auspices of Minister of Housing and Construction and the Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Sajith Premadasa, opposite the Gonako Villa in Ratmalana.
State Minister of Finance Iran Vikram Ratna and Parliamentarian Hirunika Premachandra were among those who attended the event. During the event, the public presented their problems to the minister in writing. 203 beneficiaries received housing loans worth 40.6 million rupees, while 16 received land deeds and 44 beneficiaries received tax deeds.
When the dance group welcomed me, they did not get a chance to dance because a majority of locals were informing me their issues. While our distinguished guests were addressing the gathering, I opened a file and all the letters given to me today, 95% are requests for proper housing. Some might be telling officials the flower bud will bloom in a few months. I will tell them to look properly and see who blooms. The people in this country are fed up of the previous political era. Emerging victorious in a war is not good but great. But that does not mean you can steal as you please. By 2025, everyone will have their own house. Not a house for me or my family. Following the war, the ministers and their families obtained houses for themselves. Such people are now advising us about patriotism.
A fire erupted in Kospathakanda in Beligamuwa, Galewala last evening.
According to our correspondent, the fire erupted at 6 last evening. The Galewala Office of Wildlife Conservation said that close to 30 acres of land was destroyed by the fire. Our correspondent said the fire was doused by the police, wildlife officers, together with the area residents. A large number of valuable plants were destroyed in the fire.
Addressing an event in Maligawatta, Colombo, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe made the following remarks about education.
Regardless of the problems people face at home or the debt burden they suffer, people in Sri Lanka ensure education is provided to their children. They sell their jewelry and properties to educate their children. That is why I spoke to the finance minister and said that we need to find money to educate the children. While the Premier stresses on financing education in the country, Minister of Education Akila Viraj Karyavasam made the following remarks. This year, we will target 400 digital classrooms, or at least 200. In the northern and eastern provinces, the number of teachers are not sufficient to teach. We instructed them to initiate digital classrooms, which can link nearly 10 classrooms together. Students in the eastern as well as western province can ask questions at the same time. Shortage of teachers will not be an issue in the future.
United National Party parliamentarian Hirunika Premachandra says the party's backbench MPs are unhappy about the delay in implementing the recommendations of the Ruwan Wijewardena Committee. However, the party's General Secretary, Minister Akila Viraj Karewasam, suggested otherwise, saying the committee's recommendations have in fact been implemented.
The defeat the United National Party conceded at the local government elections held in February this year and the motion of no confidence which followed led to the need for a complete restructure from within the party. While a committee headed by State Minister Ruwan Wijewardena was appointed, it brought hope among those who expected a restructure and a series of substantial proposals. A committee was appointed and it presented the required recommendations according to which the restructural process was carried out. Those changes have been made with the majority consent of the Political Council and the Working Committee. Now what is left to do is the work and organize, which we have already started. The expectations of the majority of us were fulfilled, but whether or not it happened the way you thought it would, I don't know. Putting the United National Party, which was once the largest single political party in the country, back to a victorious path is the expectation of none other than the party members themselves. Regardless of the party members' expectation, Akila Viraj Karewasam is likely to be more than happy with the changes that have taken place. The proposal put forward by the Ruwan Wijewardena Committee, intended for a change in the party's key positions, was in fact taken to their advantage, where senior member Kabir Hashim was thrown out of a post of General Secretary and was replaced by Akila Viraj Karewasam. However, the key proposal to increase and protect the United National Party's voter base, which was the primary objective of the Ruwan Wijewardena Committee, are yet to see the light of day. One of the key proposals was to rename the party's rural organizations and direct them towards a more attractive direction. The committee also recommended the appointment of several vice leaders with the capability of attracting the people. The Ruwan Wijewardena Committee proposed to give powers to the deputy leader through the provisions of the constitution to travel around the country and establish organizations of the party. The proposal to create a chief executive position which will remain at the party headquarters on a full-time basis to coordinate with party representatives at grassroots level also does not seem to be implemented. The fact that the recommendations of the Ruwan Wijewardena Committee were implemented, except for those which aimed at strengthening and broadening the UNP's voter base, raises questions as to whether they were implemented to specifically suit the interests of a few.
Everyone raised their hand against the no-confidence motion on the promise that all the proposals of the Ruwan Wijewardena Committee report would be fulfilled. But now there is nothing that even State Minister Ruwan Wijewardena, the very person who brought forward the report, can do now. The report contains the decisions which he took with good intention, where he genuinely thought about the party, its members and MPs. It is actually quite disappointing that these are not happening. The backbench MPs are beginning to wonder if this is yet another deception. Even to date, whenever we meet outside Parliament, the backbench MPs talk about these proposals not being implemented. We may not speak about this in the media. Soon after the no-confidence motion and we were convened, we thought they have gathered us all to announce that the implementation of the recommendations of the Ruwan Wijewardena Committee. But even then, it was some other topic that was discussed, after which we were given lunch before we all dispersed. Many then said, "We have been cheated. Again, have we?"
To whom does the bank account in Mexico under the name of Sri Lanka Cricket, connected to an attempted financial fraud, belong to? Were the SLC authorities aware of this?
During the past few days, we reported on an attempted financial fraud that was to take place at Sri Lanka Cricket. Information revealed through the exchange of emails related to the matter shows that the money being credited to the bank account in Mexico owned by Fanya Silu Corporation Limited is being automatically accounted to the bank in Mexico. Another matter for suspicion is the fact that Sri Lanka Cricket is named as the owner of the account. who opened such an account using the name of Sri Lanka Cricket, which is a leading institution in Sri Lanka. Were people with connections to Sri Lanka Cricket involved in setting up this account, who placed their signatures to set up this account? Can cricket officials confirm that Sri Lanka Cricket does not possess such an account? According to the head of the Information Technology Division, looking for information on this matter is not a difficult task. He revealed that many of the emails connected to this issue had been exchanged via the operations system of the SLC. Officials of Sri Lanka Cricket who boast of averting a massive financial fraud should now work towards identifying the mastermind of this scam and bring him before the law.
Former Sri Lanka cricketer Roshan Mahanama spoke at a media briefing held in Colombo today. He expressed his views on cricket during the media briefing.
I spend most of my time with my grandchildren than watching the matches. That is important to me. Whenever we watch a match, it is a disappointing situation. I have to visit Dikwala to attend the funeral of a friend's father. Everyone present was saying we lost to Afghanistan. We need to accept wins and losses. However, it is unbearable to witness how the losses are being reported. The cricketers need to understand the situation. The administration needs to understand this even more. All of them need to be ashamed of what has happened to the state of cricket in the country. They must bear in mind, we need to be better than this. We were in a group of 3 with Afghanistan and Bangladesh. Sri Lanka was forced to pack its bags and come home.
Sri Lanka bag pack karang gedereno. Kanagatu.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News on News First. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Shanjaram Pati. Good night and take care.
Unearthing corruption, taking democratic debate to new heights, seeking accountability and demanding responsibility. Newsline is now available in a brand new timing. Thursday, Friday, it's from 8 p.m. to 8:30 on TV1. Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, we remain unchanged. 7 a.m. in the morning till 7:30. Watch Newsline.